You won't get an incredible Japan trip with just an itinerary, because before you plan anything, you need to change the way you think. Here's why. In a week or 10 days, you could follow the same checklist tours as everyone else. It's very efficient. You could say you've seen Hiroshima, Tokyo, and Osaka. You eat the same food, you take the same photos. But honestly, you're missing out big time. I've lived in Japan for 15 years, seen the country from top to bottom, and the most important thing I've learned is this. If you want breathtaking destinations with jaw-dropping scenery, you're gonna have to work for it. Want to dive into the stunning sleeper hit island of Shodoshima? Well, that's 1 hour on the ferry. If you fancy heading to the gorgeous hidden hideaway that is Lake Towada and Oirase Gorge, well, that's at least 2 hours on the bus. And if you want to experience Japan's crown jewels that feel like a whole different country, that's Rebun and Rishiri Islands. And you need to take a plane there from Sapporo. Now, I'm not saying that you should avoid all the ultra-popular destinations in Japan, but I do recommend that you go to at least one out-of-the-way hidden gem. And that means you'll need to budget a bit more time to get there. If that means turning a 10-day schedule into 2 weeks, do it and reap the rewards. Because these remote locations have galaxy-sized advantages over the super hot dog tourist hotspots. When a place is remote, it feels extremely special when you arrive. Faraway Japan feels very different to big city Japan, and the memories feel very premium precisely because of that long ride to get there. And of course, remote spots have another killer advantage. The further away a place is, the fewer people visit. It's obvious, right? Fewer visitors means you'll meet locals who are happy to talk to you rather than smile politely and leave you alone. Up on Rebun Island, my wife and I went to a cafe that had closed early. And when the owner spotted us, he opened up again just for us. Do you think that's going to happen in downtown Tokyo? So when you're planning, don't be put off if you find a place that's a bit more difficult to get to. Don't give up if there's no Shinkansen going there, because if it's hard to reach, it's usually one of the best. Now, one of the most surprising things about visiting Japan is that luxury doesn't have to be super expensive. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. This is something I've found time and time again with accommodation. And actually, if you only search for one type of accommodation, you'll miss out on some of the finest places to stay in the whole country. Let's take my favourites as examples. They all have spectacular views. They're all so shiny and stylish that I wanted to stay for longer. And they all have everything a discerning traveller needs to be comfortable, as well as extra luxuries that you wouldn't expect. Sen Guest House on Shodoshima has its own private beach. On the beach on Sado Island has this view of the ocean. And at Hakoba Hakodate, breakfast on the roof looks like this. But here's the thing, these places aren't hotels. But just because it's not a hotel doesn't mean it's going to be any less comfortable. That's because this is Japan and people have incredibly high standards here, which is why even if it's not a hotel, it might be the best place to rest your head. Now, if you're finding this video useful, go drop me a thumbs up to help it spread. And while you're down there, why don't you sign up for my insider email? The link's in the pinned comment. I'll send you my very best Japan travel tips and hacks, as well as inspiration for where to visit, so you can plan your trip the smart way. And speaking of, did you know that there's one huge destination that many people forget about when they do their planning? Except this is a destination that moves. I'm talking about treating journeys as destinations themselves. I know that tens of thousands of visitors come here wanting to ride the ultra-fast bullet trains everywhere. I used to do that a lot, and I think it's huge fun, and that's a destination by itself. But the one that fewer people visit is the world of slow travel. Sure, you'll need a bit more time, but the reward is a visit to a Japan that most people miss. And actually, the trips that made the biggest impression on me have usually included slower ways of moving. Once I rode a local train from Yokote to Akita. That means stopping at every single station along the way, and this was right in the middle of a snowstorm. I wasn't quite sure if we'd make it. I was worried about arriving at my hotel on time, and I was scared that the train would get stuck. But we did get there, along with the icicles hanging off the side of the train. But the highlight wasn't this feeling of mild peril. It was sharing it with a father and his young son chatting casually about how the buses had stopped running given the weather. Also, long ferry rides are a great example of this, especially the overnight variety. I love the Osaka to Kitakyushu one because instead of flying or racing down to Kyushu on the Shinkansen, you get to sit back in your seat as you go straight under the Akashi Kaikyo, the longest bridge in Japan. See, fast travel is where most tourists visit, but slow travel is where you'll find real Japanese people. You don't need to do all your trip this way, but if you add one bit of slow travel, you'll get an adventure right to the heart of real Japan. Now, let me ask you a question. Who's in charge of your trip? Because judging by just how many questions people ask me about it, I'm pretty sure that luggage is your boss. Just the other day, I got a comment asking what to do with a suitcase that's officially oversized when the large luggage seats are sold out on the Shinkansen. And I just wanted to say, well, leave half of what you're packing at home and bring a smaller suitcase. That person is a slave to their luggage. Because if you're traveling to multiple cities on your trip, lots of luggage gets old really fast. It adds unnecessary stress when you're riding the trains. It slows you down when you're moving around, and it gets in the way of other people. See, after my first couple of trips to Japan, I quickly realized that bringing small luggage wasn't just easier, it also gave me so much more control over the itinerary. With small luggage, you can easily stick it in a luggage locker at the station, because there are always far more small lockers than supersized ones. That way, you don't need to check in at your hotel before you go sightseeing. So how do you pack light for Japan? Well, you can do laundry every few days using the hotel's washing machines. You could also buy some clothes made from merino wool. They don't need to be washed regularly because they don't get smelly. Seriously, it's the ultimate hack for packing light. Also, you can use my Daiso test. If I'm short on space or weight, like when I'm trying to meet the carry-on limit for a flight, I ask myself this: can I get it at the Daiso? Daisos are everywhere, so if the answer is yes, I'll leave the item at home, knowing that if I really need it, I can get it later. And last, there's my souvenir strategy. Many people tell me that they're coming to Japan to shop, which means they need a huge case. No, you don't. Go to the Daiso, buy one of the larger shopping bags that zip up, some packing tape and bubble wrap. Pick up a cardboard box from any supermarket, and you can quickly parcel up all those souvenirs. Seriously, try it and thank me later, because no, you don't need a huge suitcase. If you hand that over at check-in, you are done. Stop stressing over your suitcases because you're the one taking a trip, not your luggage. But you know, there's one pitfall that I see so many visitors fall into. It's a wonder it hasn't been filled over with concrete or surrounded with guardrails yet. And it's when you let other people plan your trip. What do I mean? Well, you tell your friends and family that you're going to Japan. You watch the videos, you scan the gram, you make your list. And then when you make your itinerary, you think, I really must go to this place because if I don't, what are other people going to say? And there's one destination that gets 1 billion extra visitors every day, all because of this unnecessary people-pleasing. It's overpopulated, over-noisy, overpriced, and in my opinion, completely overblown. I call it the Monstropolis, but you call it Tokyo. Listen, I'm not saying that there aren't great things to see and do in the capital. There are. My problem is with people spending 2 weeks there and pretending they've been to Japan. That's like claiming you know all about life in New York City after watching one episode of Seinfeld. It's sheer nonsense. Japan is not Tokyo. Japan is Tokyo plus a whole lot more. If you want to properly connect with Japanese people and culture, you shouldn't just stay in the capital. You're going to need to head to the smaller destinations too. Once I got chatting to a middle-aged Japanese guy about castles, but it wasn't in Tokyo. I was on the local train heading to Aizu Wakamatsu. When a local stopped to chat with me and take a photo of me with his dog, this wasn't in Osaka, it was on Koyasan, deep in Wakayama Prefecture. And when a random man in the street wanted to tell me about the importance of intercultural communication for over an hour and said goodbye with a hug, that was in Hiroshima, not Kyoto. So, if you want to take a trip to Japan proper, not the Japan that only exists in the minds of people who've never been here, then by all means, plan a few days in Tokyo. But whatever you do, get out of the city and go visit some other marvelous destinations on your trip. That's the way to make some unique Japan memories. And if you're still in the planning stages of your trip, I've got plenty more tips and advice that'll point you in the right direction, and it's all in this video up here. See ya.